assuming people are there. A very good evening or good afternoon to all of you. My sincere apologies. Technology is so very, I can only use the word strange, and we never know how it's going to work, not only from day to day, but from hour to hour. So I'm really, really very sorry. And Joshua is not there, so I'm going to take you through that. We'll first start with a little activity. All of you, can you just chat and tell me whether you can hear what I'm saying? A couple of you. Hello, ma'am. Okay, I can see some of you all. Very good. Now, take out a sheet of white paper and a pencil, and happy afternoon, all of you. Yeah, right. And quickly write down on that sheet of paper responses to the following questions. Who is your favorite, or what is your favorite fast food? Don't put it on chat. Write it on a piece of paper. I'll give you just about 2 minutes for this. Right. Now just listen to my next instruction very carefully. I want you to just put it in chat, your favorite sport. Write the name, put it on the chat box, your favorite sport, whatever you've written. Can we have that up, please? Your chat is enabled, I'm sure. Just put it in the chat box, your favorite sport.
Somebody says kabaddi. Aisha Ghaffar says kabaddi. Somebody said badminton. Harshit.
Hockey, volleyball, okay,
yes.
Tennis, badminton.
Kirti is saying cricket,
right,
shuttle.
I could see some badminton, tennis, hockey, volleyball, badminton, shuttle, right? So shuttle is another word for badminton, okay? Kabaddi, shuttle, badminton, volleyball, cricket. So imagine, it's such an interesting thing. Generally, we would have found cricket as the majority, but I find that other sports seem to be playing very good. Wonderful. Next one. What is your fast food? Favorite fast food? Oh, I like that. Somebody said favorite fast food. Carom or maybe still in. There is this very interesting word by Chacha Satyanarayana. What is Nudiel? Okay, so we have pizza, Chinese. Pizza seems to be the most common. Okay, noodles, very good. Pani puri, pav bhaji, wonderful. Very good. Maggi, that is easy also. Throw ball. Right. Your favorite book, if you have written the name of a book, or your favorite author. Next, favorite book or a favorite author. Let's have it on chat. Okay, Nora Roberts, Amrita Raghavendra, yeah. She's very interesting to read and she's got a whole range. 3 Idiots, right? Neil Gaiman, right? Only 3 of you, what about the others? Who Moved My Cheese, River of Smoke, Amitabh, okay? Sadhguru, very good. Shakespeare, wow. Anupriya, storybook by Prem Chandra, okay, short stories by him. Wonderful. Now, last one. No, we've got all that. Your favorite pastime. Don't sweat the small stuff. Hemingway, right? Ponniyin Selvam, right? Good. Now let's look at your favorite pastime. How do you like to spend your free time? What are your favorite, can call it hobbies? Reading, singing, listening to music, right? Reading, YouTube movies, right? Yeah, I like Ishwaku also. That's a good book too. Your favorite pastime, YouTube movies, listening music. What else? Blog writing. Oh, that's interesting. Very good. Right. Thank you. Now, let's start. I want you, now we are going to see why you are here. So if you look at your handout 1, there is the aims of today's session, and in between the aims, there are some things which we will not be achieving today. They are false aims. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. Please look at your handout. Tick mark the aims you think are not part of today's session. Remember, right on the beginning, on top was written productive skills. Keep that in mind. There are aims given in the handout 1. Just remove your handout 1. Have a look at that and just tick mark the aims you think are false aims. Go ahead. No, don't put anything on chat. Just do it on your piece of paper. I'll give you a few minutes. Okay, now I'm going to read out an aim. In the chat box, type out T if you think it is true of this session, F if you think it is false. To just give you a clue, there are 4 false aims in this. Right? So I'm reading out the first aim. To recognize the focus aspects involved in teaching productive skills. True or false? Right? Put into T if you think it's true, false if you think it's not true. Am I audible now? Am I audible now? Okay, true. Very good. Yes, it is true. Right, the next one. To provide knowledge on how to teach vocabulary to develop speaking skills. To provide knowledge on how to teach vocabulary to improve speaking skills. True or false? Second one. Now, I'm not going to give you the answer. You'll see it now in the next slide. Right. All of you. Okay, Sanmit Sarkar is the only one who has written false. Very good. For the I'm assuming it's for the second one. Right. It is false. We are not going to be learning how to teach vocabulary. Remember, these are productive skills. So we're looking at speaking and writing. Here are the answers, which are the aims of today's workshop. Just spend a minute going through this. I'll show you the next slide too. We'll be going through all this. So please don't worry if you all don't understand any of this. To demonstrate the support level and error handling involved in each aspect. To provide knowledge and practice in the different approaches to teaching writing. And to raise awareness of the varied methods of error correction. Now, I'm just going to spend a minute on the last one about error correction. We are, as language teachers, we do a lot of corrections. But how effective is the correction which you have done for the student? Has it improved in him or her? Has it resulted in him or her improving? Or does he or she continue to make the same errors? Many of us say that, oh my God, however many times we do it, this child keeps on making the same mistakes. We have passed on the responsibility to the child. We need to stop and think about, why is he or she making the same mistake? Is there something wrong with the way I'm doing my error corrections? We'll come to that a little later. Okay, now that you have seen the aims and you'll have ticked it in your handout, we're going to play a small game. I'm going to show you a jumbled word which has been jumbled up. I want you to unjumble it and put the right word in the chat box. Quickly, I'm only going to give you 10 seconds. Taking very long, you should put it quickly into your chat box.
Looks challenging, ma'am.
Are they able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, ma'am.
Joshua?
Yeah, ma'am. We can hear you loud and clear. I'm trying to deduce the word myself.
Okay, right. Right. Okay.
There's no T, so it can't be education.
No, it's not education. Okay, here it is. The answer is audience. Right. Okay, the next word.
This is easy.
Let's see if they. Let's see what is this word.
Nirmala has got something. Yeah, I think everybody's thinking like me here. Okay, there's somebody different. Somebody went.
Yeah, you can make two words, but the word I want is.
I think Bhagya Lakshmi Rajeshwari said the word.
This is the word I was looking for. Okay, the next one. This should be something all of you would get it.
Still in the second word.
Let's get this word.
Yeah, Lizzie from PMIR has got it.
Right, so this is something all of you have got it. And the last word. Okay, right, purpose. Now the four words were audience, genre, topic, and purpose. How are these four terms related to what we are going to do? I've put up, I wish we could have had a discussion, but I've just put up the reason why it's so important for us when we are teaching productive skills, that students or the children or whoever it is. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. We can hear you.
No, but where is the slide gone?
Slides there while speaking or writing.
I can't see it.
Just press previous and next. You should be able to see it.
Okay, I've got it. Now, the reason why it's important for you to make sure, again it's gone off. Yee, what's happening? Is we should know the kind, for example, if I'm talking with Joshua, who is my peer, and I can use slang words with him and he will not mistake me, and it's quite absolutely fine if I say, "Hi Joshua, how are you?" I'm using the word hi. But if I was talking to my professor, at least in my age, now maybe today the context is different, but if I say, hi, Joshua, and Joshua is senior to me, it may sound not correct. I may have to say, good morning, sir, if it's the Indian context, or good morning, Mr. Joshua. So that it's very important for us to know audience so that we know the kind of vocabulary we can use. Children talking amongst themselves can use a whole range of vocabulary which they cannot use with adults. So that is the reason audience becomes an important part. Genre is the different types of writing or speaking. Now, when I'm debating, the way I speak is quite different from if I'm sort of talking with somebody on the road. If I'm making a speech, a political speech, the way I'm going to speak is going to be quite different if I'm going to be speaking with my friends. So the genre, the reason, the purpose, everything is linked. If we're having a discussion, if we're having a round table discussion, the genre becomes what kind of language I can't just button and speak the way I want, when I want, shout, scream and all. So this is an important element while teaching. Of course, the topic, if it's a technical topic, as it said there, you'll have to use words related to that particular topic, which you and I, if I'm doing something for the Airports Authority of India, and they're going to be doing something about ATC, air traffic control, the jargon I use or they use is going to be quite different from what I'm going to be using in general English. So this is why topic is so important as an element. Next is purpose. There has to be a purpose. We don't just write blindly, right? And if there is no, one of the things about classroom teaching language is many a time we ask children, okay, today you write a paragraph on my favorite toy. We don't give them a purpose for writing, so they just have to think and they struggle, they're not interested. There has to be a reason why you make them write something. That purpose has to come out in any kind of assessments or assignments you give. So keep this in mind. Now, any questions? Just type it in. If you're all clear, then I'm going to go ahead. So we speak and write with the purpose in mind. We can persuade, we can bully somebody. It all depends on your relationship with whoever you're speaking. So are you okay with this? Can I go ahead? No questions? Right. Now, there are certain elements which we need to keep in mind when we are teaching, speaking and writing. I want you all to go through, take out your handout explain genre. Just a minute, before I do that, let me explain the word genre. It's nothing very thing to get confused about. Genre is the background for which we are. For example, if I'm writing poetry, I will be writing it in a verse form. Can I write it as an essay? Can I write it in paragraphs? No, generally speaking, the poetry is written in a verse form. Suppose I am writing a letter. There is a particular format of the letter, right? I cannot write it like a poetry unless the body of the letter is, I want to send a poem, that's different. But the template of a letter is very typical of a letter. Suppose I am writing an email to my boss. It has a certain way of writing. There is the subject line which I have to write, the way I begin the email, the kind of language I use. Now all this talks about it's like a background. Genre is a background to something which we are. So if I'm going to paint scenery and my background for the scenery is a blue sky and a a river and a forest. These are the first things in that I will put. So my major color will be green, blue and brown. I'm not going to be using purple unless there's very specific reason I have purple flowers in that. I can't be in the midst of the scenery if I put a couple of doshas or pizzas in that. You'll be wondering why is she doing this like this? This is a picture of a scenery. Why is she brought in a pizza in that? So each is appropriate for that particular situation. That is the actual meaning of genre. Have you got it? Anshita, have you got it? Okay, so someone has asked me to example of a purpose for writing about favorite toy. No, I think I gave a wrong example, so my apologies. Now, when you ask a child to write something, there is a reason, right? For example, you want to check whether the child is making, child knows how to use the present tense correctly. So you give him something in which he has to use the present tense. So your purpose is to ensure that the child is using the present tense. But what is the child's purpose? Why are you making the child write that? So are you going to tell your student, I'm going to check today whether you know how to use the present tense? No, they need to write. So you say, okay, the reason today I'm going to ask you to write about your favorite toy is I want to know whether your favorite toy and my favorite toy are the same. So the child will say, let me write and see if my teacher's favorite toy is also the same. So you're giving them a particular purpose for writing and they put themselves into the writing. This is what I mean by purpose. As a teacher, we forget the purpose from the child's viewpoint. We have a purpose, but the child doesn't have a reason for writing. The child is writing, it's my English period. Teacher is going to make me write, so let me write. So the child doesn't put in his or her best. Just writes whatever comes into the head and puts it down. But when you give them a purpose, they internalize it and then they write from that. Right? Okay, now, any other questions? You cannot see what? Okay, now, take out your handout 2. There are a set of terms in the handout. Each term is an element which is important while teaching a productive skill. Please go through that handout 2. Please.
For those of you who have not received the handout earlier, there will be an option for you to download the handout. You can download it. Please click on
off.
Okay, ma'am. Can you hear me now, ma'am?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Do you want me to bring up?
Look at that. Just spend a few minutes looking at handout 2 and try and guess what each means. Hi, Rosalia. Nice to see you here. One familiar. All of you sound very familiar. I'm sure I must have met you on some time or the other. Right. Just look at it. And look at, and in your mind, we'll come to coherence and, okay, someone has asked me the difference between coherence and cohesion. Now, cohesion is like gum, something which sticks words together. So can you tell me in English language, what parts of speech we normally use to stick words and sentences together? We use generally conjunctions, right? Subordinate or coordinate conjunctions. Of course, we use a whole lot, but generally, I'm just giving you an example. So Words which help to stick. Yes, conjunction, that's right. Now, the word coherence means the logical flow of your talk or writing. Now, suppose I was asked to describe my day. If I'm somebody who's very, very good in the language, whatever language, I can begin in the middle of the day, but the way I connect it to the morning and to the night, the whole thing will read beautifully. But generally, when a young child begins to write, and we ask them to describe a day, the child normally should begin from getting up in the morning, going to school, eating tiffin, playing, coming home, doing homework, sleeping. Now, this is the logical flow of the child's day. Suppose the child starts writing by saying, I went and had tiffin at 5 o'clock in the evening. In the morning, I get up at 4 and I went to school. Sentences are correct, but there is no coherence. That's right, Roja. Logical order is what coherence is. But remember, when I say logical order, it also depends on us. So that is the difference between coherence and cohesion. Okay, now you'll have. Please look at handout 2A and match the terms to the definition. And see if you'll have understood everything, or is there something which you'll haven't understood. Yeah, I'm giving you a few minutes. See, one thing I want to share with you all, something, this is personal. I always feel that if you keep your mind open, many a time we attend sessions and we say, why are we going? Yeah, I know all about it. What am I going to learn from it? We are not going to learn anything, because we've already decided that we are not going to learn anything, because I know everything about it. But, and this is something which I learned very early in my life from one of the first principals I worked with in St. Xavier's. We had to go for a teaching workshop, and the workshop was on teaching poetry. So I went to the principal and said, I don't want to go. I mean, I know how to teach poetry. What is there for me to learn? So he looked me up and down and he said, Uma, don't be silly. Just put that away and just go. Keep your mind open. And remember, we're always constantly learning. So I went. I mean, he was a wonderful person, one of the best principals, learned a lot from him. So I went there, and you'll be surprised to know I learned much more about not how to teach poetry only, but about poets, poetry, everything in that 1 hour session than I had learned ever with my experience. And then I realized that constantly, if we keep our mind open, we come across things which we never really thought about, because we have a different perception. We all wanted the 2A, is it? Can you see this on the screen now? Joshua, just scroll down.
Scroll down further. Doing it.
Scroll down or scroll up. Can you see? Hello?
Yeah.
Joshua?
Yeah, I'm scrolling down. Can you see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Am I going too fast?
Yeah, just go slowly. Just go. Joshua, can I share my presentation from my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. You can share your presentation from your screen.
Yeah, because there are some slides in mine which I have inserted, which is not missing in yours.
Okay.
Can I share that?
Yeah, you can use the share screen there, ma'am. There's next to the mic button, there's a share screen. Please use that. You will be able to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, can you see these are the elements which you would have got?
It's not come on,
Punctuation,
yeah.
grammar, organization, spellings, coherence, accurate letter formation, style, formal, informal, pronunciation, clarity of expression, cohesion, using facial expressions, gestures, and postures effectively, stress, word and sentence, intonation, language, and interpreting body language, facial expressions, and gestures effectively. Right? So, can you take this off? Right. Not visible, is it? I'm not able to share here. Joshua. No, the one I wanted to. Okay, never mind. Let me. I don't know why I'm not able to share it. Now, the elements which you'll have got in your list, some of it you need to teach while teaching writing. Some of it very specific to speaking, and some of it is for both. Now, can you fill up this quickly? Take a piece of paper and just put it into these 3 columns, the elements you have. Yeah, I know my screen has not been visible, so I've gone back to that. I'm sorry. I don't know why it is not, but just let's do this. You have the elements with you all, right? Yes or no? Can you see me now? Okay. Right. So, do you have the elements with you? Have you copied it down in piece of paper or no? No elements. Okay, let me read it out and please note it down when I am reading it, right? Punctuation, grammar, organization, spellings, coherence, accurate letter formation, style, pronunciation, clarity of expression, cohesion, using facial expressions, stress, intonation, language, and interpreting body language, facial expressions, etc. Now, here is the words, here are the elements which you should have got. For writing, definitely spelling, accurate letter formation, and punctuation. You would agree with me? Right. For speaking, we're going to pay attention to pronunciation, intonation, stress, using facial expressions, gestures, and postures effectively, interpreting body language, facial expressions, and gestures effectively. And for both, we need to organize, we need to have a style, grammar, definitely, cohesion and coherence, which we just spoke about, clarity of expression, and language. Now, obviously, when you look at this, some of this focuses on accuracy in language, and some of it focuses on fluency in language. Joshua, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Hello?
Very much here. I'm here,
Hello,
ma'am. Can you hear me?
Joshua.
Yes, ma'am, here. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Here. Can you hear me?
Can you, after my next slide, please put up poll questions 1 and 2. Okay, after my next slide.
Okay, ma'am. Waiting.
Okay, ma'am. Waiting.
Yeah. So some of it is accuracy and some of it is fluency. Which of that, of course, there are some in between, both accuracy and between accuracy and fluency. Now, with those elements, decide which of it focuses on accuracy and which of it focuses on fluency. Okay, now, Joshua, you can put up the poll questions 1, please.
Started it, ma'am. The poll questions should appear on the right of your screen if you're using a laptop or a desktop. It will appear on the bottom of your screen if you're using a mobile screen. One answer so far. Yes, now it's started. Everybody's the early bird, ma'am. There's very little partnership for me here. No night owls. Oh yeah, now they're there. Almost 50-50 now.
I can't see the...
Just click on the polls, ma'am. On the tab, click on the polls tab.
Where is that?
It's a 59-40.
Okay, I've got it. Okay, so we have first one. Have you started the poll?
Yeah, it is running, ma'am. I think when I start the next question, it'll display for you.
No, I want only the first and second question. I don't want any.
Yeah, early bird, 64 people say they are early birds, 35% say they are.
Okay, and the rest are night owls, okay?
Yes.
Put up the next one.
Okay,
second question.
In one word, how would you describe the past week/month?
So, how many have said tiring?
18%. A lot keep saying,
interesting.
50%.
Tough?
15%, 15.
You're sure you're going off air again?
15% saying it's tough. Interesting is still the highest. 43, 44, tiring 28.
You're going off. Okay, and fun?
12%.
Oh, fun was only 12%. Okay, right. Have they all finished?
Yes, I think I'm going to publish the results. Yes, we can go back. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Now, let's go back to our screen. Let's see whether you got this like this. So, for accuracy, spelling, just go through it and tell me if you don't agree with any of this. Go through this and tell me if there is anything which you don't agree with it and you think it should be the other way down and not this way. Please remember, you need to think and give responses according to your understanding. Don't say, I think this is the right answer. I don't want you to give me an answer which I think is right. I need you to think about it and give me. So pronunciation is accuracy or fluency? No responses? Are you okay with this? Any questions in this? Right. Now, okay, someone said pronunciation seems to be fluency for me, ma'am. Now, why did I ask you whether pronunciation is fluency, but I have put it down in accuracy? Inaccuracy, intonation may not be an appropriate one. Okay, why not? You need to justify, right? You just can't say we don't think enough. Why do you think intonation is not accuracy and intonation should be more under fluency? Right, Anshita has asked why organization is under fluency. Suppose you don't organize your thoughts well. Can you be fluent when you write or talk, Anshita? Just think for a minute. Suppose I asked you, yeah, I'll explain to you everything. Don't worry, all of you. Suppose I asked you to tell me how to, make a cup of tea, right? So what do you need? I ask you to go to the kitchen and make me a cup of tea. What are some of the things you will do as soon as you go into the kitchen? You will take out your tea, a bottle of tea. You will make sure you have the pot where you're going to put the tea leaves. You will make sure you have water. You'll have cups to measure the exact amount of water. You keep all this ready before you actually make the cup of tea, right? Generally, that's what all of us should be doing. It's a different thing that many of us will go running. We'll first put the water, we'll light the gas, and then we'll go running to the cupboard, bring the tea leaves, running somewhere else, bringing the milk. And in the meantime, gas is being wasted. So while we do make a cup of tea, we are not very organized in it. Similarly, when we organize our thoughts clearly, whether it's writing or when we are speaking, we tend to come out not only more fluently, but more confidently. But if you don't organize your thoughts clearly, when you speak, you will, back chat. That is, you'll go back and forth. Now, okay, no, I think I want to say that. No, I think we can do this. So these are some of the fillers which we start using, which shows that we are not very well organized in our thought. Now, please remember, when we talk about this, when you're talking with your friends, you don't even think you're organizing. But it automatically comes, especially when you're speaking in your L1, your mother tongue. But you're so practiced in organizing the words, the thoughts and all, that you don't even realize that automatically this is happening behind. It's like acting behind the screen. That is why when children who are very fluent, it has become a habit. That's what you need to make sure that your students in L2 also become fluent, so that it becomes an automatic part of when they're speaking or writing. Have you understood? Okay. So intonation, why is it under accuracy? Suppose I want to ask you a question. In English, remember, there are very clear marks of intonation by which you know whether somebody is asking a question or making a statement. His name is Samir. Is this a question? Am I asking you all to agree with me, or am I making a statement? I'm making a statement. Suppose I say, his name is Samir. Now, I'm asking whether his name is Samir. You see the intonation? Now that is accuracy, because if my intonation is not accurate, then there is miscommunication with the person whom I'm talking to. So that person won't know whether I'm asking for confirmation about his name or I am telling him that this person's name is Samir. Have you understood now why intonation is under fluency, Sanmeet? Okay. Why is stress under accuracy? Shefali, what is stress? Now, when we talk about stress, we talk about word stress, we talk about phrase stress, and we talk about sounds, right? Now, if we stress the wrong word in a sentence, we still have a problem with accuracy, with communication. My mother went to the market and bought vegetables. The stress is on market. My mother went to the market and bought some vegetables. The stress is on mother. What is the difference in the meaning between the two? In the first one, the important information, and suppose somebody asks me, where's your mother? Or where did she go? The important information I want to give is the word market. The stress is on market. But in the second one, if someone says, who went to the market to buy vegetables? The stress is on mother to say that this is the person who went. That is why stress comes under accuracy. Right? Please remember, you can have your own interpretations, but this is generally what it is. The left side accuracy elements focuses on accuracy, and the right side focuses on fluency. So when we teach reading or writing, what are we going to focus on? Any questions, or should we go forward? Now, because of the platform we are using, I am not able. Yeah. So accuracy is relative. A very young child. My PPT.
Going backward.
It's gone. I can't see anything.
You're in fluency, ma'am.
Okay. Accuracy. No, stop. Stop at accuracy. What's happening?
No, it's yours. It's yours.
No, where is it? I can't see it.
Just press next, ma'am. It is.
Okay, can we just stop there? Again, let's just stop there. Okay. Young child isn't capable of the same level of accuracy as an adult. So cat and cot. So child may, write cat as cot. So child just beginning to write, maybe upper KG or something, we'll still say very good. But if I wrote cat for cot, we'll say what sort of a person she is. She doesn't even know how to spell. So accuracy depends on a lot of factors, but those elements do come under accuracy. Teachers who concentrate on accuracy help their students to produce grammatically correct written and spoken English, ideally aiming towards the accuracy of a native speaker of similar age and background. Many of us and many of you went through an educational system where English, the teachers focused on this aspect of teaching English. Correct me if I'm wrong or not. We were so good, and we are so good in the theoretical aspect of using grammar correctly, subject, verb, knowing the parts of speech and all, that we are very, very good in that aspect of accuracy. Okay, so we'll have a look at it later. The emphasis in the classroom will be on grammar presentations and exercises, reading comprehensions and such like. That's what is accuracy. A fluent speaker, on the other hand, may well make grammatical errors, but will speak or write efficiently without stopping, backtracking, etc. They will be able to converse freely and talk with native speakers about many different subjects. Fluency generally increases as learners progress and become more comfortable using the language. Language teachers who concentrate on fluency help their students to express themselves in English. They pay more attention to meaning and context and are less concerned with grammatical errors. Now, if you really look at it, your teaching should be a mix of both. So your lessons which you design should be a mixture of both. Typical fluency activities are role-playing and more communicative activities where English is used as a medium of communication rather than an end in itself. Okay, I'm not going to do the demonstration because it's not possible to do a demonstration with you people all in different places and not able to interact with me. I want you all to open your handout, which is a demonstration handout. I think it's handout 3. Just open handout 3 and just look at what I'm reading. This is the demo. I'm going to read out the plan of this lesson and then try and see if you can fill up the observation for demonstration lesson 1. The procedure for this is, trainer will ask some students to stand in a circle and she will also become a part of the circle. right? And then she will give, so you have a group of students in class who will stand in a circle. And then the teacher is giving the instruction. Please repeat after me. I am from Delhi. Repeat, children. I am from Delhi. Repeat. I am from Delhi. Then she says, where are you from? Repeat. Where are you from? Repeat. Where are you from? So she's making them get the intonation, pronunciation accurate. I'm from Delhi. Where are you from? Then the teacher turns to the first participant and says, now you have to repeat what I'm telling you. Right, Samir? Are you with me? I'm from Delhi. Where are you from? So the participant says, I'm from Delhi. Where are you from? Suppose Samir is not from Delhi and he says, I'm from Chennai. Where are you from? The teacher says, no. You have to say exactly what I'm telling you. I'm from Delhi. Where are you from? So this is the second part of the lesson. Then the trainer gets away from them and she makes the children repeat this in the circles, listening to pronunciation mistakes, correcting them and making them do the choral drill in the group and in pairs, and if there's any mistakes made, to correct them. Finally, she says, I am from Delhi. Where are you from? And someone says, I am from Delhi. So the teacher says, I am from Delhi too. So she brings in a new structure, bringing in the two. So this is demonstration 1. So can you just look at the demonstration 1 sheet and fill up the questions? Just think about, imagine if you were a student, what would you have experienced? Okay, now I'm going to demonstration 2. Now in this is, I'm not telling you what kind of an activity it is because you're going to guess. Now in this, I'm going to use some cue cards, that means little cards with some explanation in this. I'm going to do an interview role play. So I'll divide the class into 2 groups, and one group are the interviewers and the other group are the interviewees. So I divide them by saying 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All the ones are interviewers and all the twos are interviewees. Then I will give some cue cards to interviewers. They will get their own set of cue cards. The cue cards means what questions they're going to ask. For example, your name, where are you from, how many years did you study, whatever questions interviewer asks.
Okay.
And then the interviewer will, is guided with those questions. They don't have to really use their imagination. Interviewees have to answer. So when they are doing this, as a teacher, I will go around to check whether they are asking the correct questions and answering the correct, the responses are correct. At the end of this, I will ask the interviewer if they are willing to hire the interviewee, and they have to tell me why they are willing to hire the interviewee. This is the second demonstration lesson. Please remember, they have cue cards. They have to arrange the cue cards in the order in which they are going to ask the questions before they start, because they can't ask, where are you from? Okay, they can't say, how many years have you studied in Anna University? And then the next question, where are you from? There is no organization. So the interviewer has to organize the cue cards correctly, and the interviewee needs to be prepared to answer the questions. Okay? When there are errors made, structural errors made, the teacher goes to the board and writes the errors on the board and corrects as a whole group. She doesn't pick up individual, she does it as a whole. So that is demonstration 2. Okay, now demonstration 3 is a debate. So you give a topic for a debate. The topic for today's debate is no one should be allowed to waste food. Then they decide which group is for the topic and which group is against the topic. Give time to both the group of participants to write down, make notes and points which they are going to use in their debate. Give them about 10 minutes for this to do it. And if they have any problems or any words which they want to clarify or any support they need, they can come to you, you can tell them. Then start the debate. While the debate is on, please note down words mispronounced, what is wrong in the structures, the wrong vocabulary they use. Please note it down. And then what you do is, you don't give the correction. You write down the errors on the board and find out if the group itself, the class itself can do the correction. If the one B group can correct it, give B group 5 points. If A group can correct it, give A group 5 points. Like that, make it a competition correcting errors so that they correct their own errors themselves and you are just there as an observer. This is demonstration 3. Right. Now, which demonstration, okay. Now, in which demonstration did the students get maximum support? Demonstration 1, 2 or 3. Just put it in your chat. Joshua, I want the PPT up, please. Joshua? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. I can see the PPT.
The PPT, I think, is visible. Back to you.
Okay, which demonstration was the maximum support? 1, that's right. Which was the minimum support? Least support? 1 was the maximum support. Minimum support was which one? Demonstration 1, 2 or 3? Yes, it's 3. Demonstration 3 had the least support. Now, demonstration 1 is a controlled activity where you as a teacher controls everything. Remember when that person said, I am from Chennai? She says, no. Where are you from? I am from Delhi. It's a very, very controlled activity. Second one, the role play of interviewers and the interviewee was a guided activity. The students were given cue cards. They were guided. They were told what questions to ask. In the cue cards, they had to place the questions in the order they think should have been the way it is. And finally, they decide. The interviewees are not given any answers. They have to answer genuinely. They have a discussion and then the role play is done. So that's a guided activity. Third one is a free activity. There's absolutely nothing the teacher does. Even the error correction is done by the students themselves. In the first one, how is the error correction done? Immediately or at the end? Yeah, role plays are guided. It could also be a freer activity, Meeta. It is guided if you tell them what they're supposed to do. Like in this, interviewee and interviewers, we told the interviewees what questions to ask. We gave them cue cards and all. So that was guided. But if you just say, okay, this is it. You're going to be a team X person and you're going to be a Y person. Go and do a role play. This is the scenario. That becomes a free activity, right? Yes, demonstration 1, correction is done immediately and repeated. So there's a lot of repetition. In which activity was the error correction done by putting up the errors on, telling the students these are the mistakes and these are the things you have to do. In which one was that done? In 2, the structural mistakes, pronunciation and all did not get handout 3, Rosalio. I'll tell. Hello, Joshua.
Listening, ma'am. Listening.
I don't know where he's disappeared.
No, I'm listening.
Joshua.
Listening, ma'am.
Anisha,
I will send it to us. Joshua
Cambridge.
here. Joshua here.
Okay,
3 will go
I'll
to
come
Rosalia.
back to that. I've made a note of it, Rosalia. Now, demonstration 3, the error is done by students themselves. And if you ask me which is the best type of error corrections to be done, ideally it should be 3, but it's never very possible for children to do their error corrections on their own. So 2 is a nice way of correction. 1, if you have to, then 1 is also used, but I wouldn't use 1. Okay. Now, I want you all to look at your list of activities. Observation sheet. We've just done that. Any questions from the observation sheet? Any questions you want to ask me? Okay, now I'm going to put up, look at handout 4, please. You have types of activities. Have you all got it? These activity types have you got? Yes, no? Now, if you look at the activity sheet, you need to match the activity type. Doesn't the kinds of corrections made depend on the level of students, Maithali? I would agree with you, but sometimes we underestimate our children. If you point out cat, if the child has spelled it as caught, and you want the child to understand the cat is spelled with an A, instead of making a big cross over it and writing it as cat, if you call the child and say, okay, cat, point out at O and keep saying cat, is this the letter you will write? You will find the child himself or herself will correct it. Can you? Okay, so if you look at the activities and the fill in the blanks, you will find, right? Have you all got that? Joshua, please send them the activity 4.
Activity 4 out. 4 with the candidates. I have already sent it out. Ma'am, go ahead, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up, these are the activity sheet. Have you got that?
Ma'am?
Okay. Have you got that? All this, have you written it? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out one explanation and you all tell me what type of an activity it is. Information, surveys, debates, presentations, rankings, role plays and interviews. Okay? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 types of activities. What activity is this? A questionnaire following which they ask people questions to fill out. It's a very simple one, right? It is surveys and questionnaires, right? Now, an example of that is what kind of restaurants do people like to eat in? That's a survey question, right? Next one. Students argue or discuss a topic. What type of a activity is this? Debates and discussions. Oh, my next one, and dash activity is an activity where learners do not have the information they need to complete a task. The thing is going off, the presentation keeps off and on. They do not have the information they need to complete a task and need to talk to each other. This is called an information gap activity. Very, very good activity to do in class. We'll talk about it a little later. They grade items in order of importance, necessity, height, or any other criterion provided. Can you hear me? Someone says no audio. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, ma'am. I can hear you.
What type of an activity is this? Ranking. Very good activity. So now the only ones which are left, presentations and interviews, right? These are interviews. One is a celebrity and the other is a journalist. The latter interviews the former. They do a research on a topic and talk about it in groups or individually. Now, these are different types of activities which you can use to teach speaking. Each of them gives the students a purpose. I mean, when you tell them, okay, I want you to do research on the number of what can children do a research on? Number of students who come from homes where they do not get piped water or something like that. It can be anything. I'm just giving you off that. So when you give them something purposeful, it makes it meaningful for them to. Students prepare a script and act it out. This is role play. Now, I want you all to, any questions on the different activities for speaking? Any questions you'll want to ask me? The information gap activity, which many of you may have not done, I'm sure you'll have done. I'll just give you an example. Let us say, even from a text, classroom text, right, you take, and the children do not read the text or anything like that. Part of the text is with person 1 and part of the text is with person 2. You take a paragraph, I'm just giving you an example, a paragraph from the text, and you have 10 sentences, you cut out 4 sentences, the spacings, give the blanked out one to one person and you give the sentences to the other person, right? And they sit back to back in the class in whatever way, they either sit or stand depending on how much space there is. Then person A says, reads it and comes to the blank and say, what is the sentence which goes here? Person B listens to it and say, oh, I think this is the sentence which goes there, and reads out the sentence. Person A writes it down. This is known as an information gap activity. Please try and practice these activities. This also practices writing. If you look at it, the information gap activity actually practices all the skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So it's a very holistic activity, very good activity to be used. Now please take out your handout 5. I hope you have handout 5.
5 is process writing, right, ma'am? Handout 5.
We're now going on to writing. Now, generally speaking, what happens is when you ask somebody, how do you teach writing? They look at you with a very, they say, what is he asking? How do I teach writing? I teach writing. Yeah, come on. Is it physical act of writing that I take the pencil and make the children write? But is it writing as in something creative? How do I teach? Oh, I give them words, and I'll say, okay, these are some words on a particular topic. I want you to write a paragraph. That's how I teach writing. So there are many ways you have, and I'm sure very effective ways of teaching writing. But the first, I'm going to today talk about two different ways of writing. I want you all to look at handout 5. I hope you have it with you. There are different sentences given in different orders about how to teach writing. Can you reorganize it in the right order? This is called the product approach to writing. There are two approaches we are going to talk about. We're going to talk about product and we are going to talk about process approach. Just look at that. Joshua, are you there? I wanted you to put out the poll question 3.
Poll question 3. Yes, I'm putting out poll question 3.
I don't think Joshua can hear me. Can you all hear him? Handout 5, has he put it up?
Yes, handout 5 is out. People can hear me, ma'am. Product writing is available. Process writing is also available. Poll is also on. Anybody who can see the poll, please click.
Has he put it up?
Yes, ma'am, done.
Right, can you put out handout 5, please?
Done, ma'am.
Okay, I can't hear Joshua, so I really don't know whether you all can hear it. Joshua, just put out handout 5.
Done, ma'am.
Just quickly reorganize it. Okay, you'll have done it. Very good. Now, this is the order. Model text of the genre being taught is read. Features of the genre are highlighted. Language structures used are practiced using controlled practice activities. Then ideas are organized. Students choose from a choice of comparable writing tasks. Individually, they use the skills, structures, and vocabulary they have been taught to produce the product. Let's just go through this. When we say a model text of the genre being taught is read, suppose we are going to teach them how to write an autobiography. Yeah, Paul, he hasn't put out because he hasn't heard me. You read out something about the autobiography, things like the first person, whatever it is, the tense, how you will move from the past to the present to the future. The features of the genre are highlighted. In an autobiography, the most important feature of the genre is the first person and the use of the tense, timeline. You will highlight that. Then you will practice with the children, with the students, structures which are needed to be used in that. Once they have done that, I'm asking them how to organize their ideas in an autobiography. The autobiography is a very difficult one, but I'm just giving you an idea how they will begin. They can begin from anywhere they want. They can begin from where they are today, and then they go in the past and go into the future, or they can begin from when they were in the past to how they reach the present, whatever it is. And then the children are given topics from which they choose and then they write. This is the product approach. Okay, poll question 3 is out, is it? Okay. What's the biggest challenge you're facing when working from home? Right. Most of you have said network connection. How true. You just saw today also. It is very, very frustrating. I don't know whether it's ever going to get better. This is the third question. Joshua, don't put up the 4th and 5th. I will wait for some time. I'm going back to my presentation. Okay, let's go back. Next one is the product approach. How different is, next is the process. Now this is, I'm just putting it up because I don't want, hello, the presentation is gone. Poll question 3 didn't appear, 3 appeared. What's the biggest challenge you're facing when working from home? Now let's go on to the process approach. We'll come back to your poll question a little later. In the process approach, you decide on a topic. Let's say the topic is, can anyone give me a topic to write? Put it in the chat box. What topic should we write on today? What is our writing assignment today? Can I have? What is our writing assignment? Can anyone give me a topic for writing?
I think Rosalia has given it as network connection.
Okay, my favorite holiday. Right. Now, suppose the topic is my favorite holiday. Put students in groups. Okay, English in advertising. Okay, that's a good topic. So let's see. The topic is English in advertising. Okay. A topic is decided upon. The topic is English in advertising. Put the students in groups and tell them to generate ideas by brainstorming and discussion. Right? Now, when they generate ideas, make them do a mind map. You all know how a mind map is done. Make them in a group do a mind map, you know. The topic in the center with ideas, whatever comes, tell them to do that first. Give them time. Please give them time. Don't be like me. I never give time. That's one of the worst things about me as a teacher. The feedback I always get is, ma'am, you never give us enough time. You never give us. So please give your, the problem, lots of topics will have got there. I wish I'd come early. Anyway, let's just see how we go about doing it. Give them time to brainstorm and discuss. Then tell them to organize the ideas properly. So they've got this mind map, and then tell them to organize the ideas in a linear form. You know, not in a mind map type, because then it becomes in a linear form means beginning, middle, and end, like that. Tell them to organize the ideas. Then make them write the first draft. Remember, some children will be quick, some children will be slow. Give them enough. Once they finish their first draft, tell them to exchange their draft with their partner, so that they are all reading each other's work. Tell them to read, give comments. They don't have to make grammar corrections, they don't have to make spelling corrections, but they have to give their opinion about the content, about the organization, etc. Let them write on that with red pen, green pen, blue pen, it doesn't matter, make it colorful. Then they return the drafts. The original writers look at the drafts, their peer feedback, and then a final draft is written. And then they again exchange and read each other's work, and perhaps even write a response or reply, or even better still, all the final versions are put up around the classroom. Students get a turn to go around reading and put smileys, 1, 2, 3, 4 smileys, 5 smileys, as many smileys as they want on the article they have read. They only need to put smileys. The minimum is 1 smiley. Maximum they can put any. Please make sure so that this positive feedback is given. This is known as the process approach. If you were, ma'am, how is this possible while taking online? Are you talking of how to do this approach online? Well, if you're using Zoom, which is one of the best platforms, put them into breakout rooms in groups and make them do brainstorming, discussion. Then ask them to invite you into their breakout room and have a look at what they have done by showing it in their camera. So this is possible if you're using Zoom. Not this Webinar Jam is not a good tool for online teaching. It's good for a webinar, but not for teaching. Zoom you can use. Microsoft Team is another good platform which you could use for teaching online. Right? Now suppose you were teaching your students, which approach would you think is better and why? Yeah, the problems with the online topic, classes itself is lots of good topics you'll have got. So just look at this. See what are the similarities and differences between the two approaches. Very important for you to know. Which approach do you think is better? Which you would use? Process approach or product approach? Or would you use mix and match? Mix and match? What would you use? Okay, right? Look at the similarities and differences between the two. This is a comparison. At the end of it, I want please note down because you're going to create a quiz now. In the process approach, text is a source of comparison. In the product approach, text is only a model. Just read it. After this, Joshua, please put up the last two poll questions, 4 and 5. After this, I'll tell you when I change to the next one.
Okay, ma'am.
Joshua, please put up the last. Right. So now with the next last activity which we have. Who's not speaking? Okay. Could you throw more light on product approach with an example? No, I am not gone. Can you hear me? I am not off audio. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
We can, ma'am. We can. Don't worry. We can hear you.
Can you just put it in the chat whether you can hear me or not? Okay, right. So you all want me to give an example of product approach. Let me give you an example of writing a formal letter. Okay? A business letter. And I'm going to use the product approach for this. What I will do is I will collect 3 or 4 formal business letters and bring it to class. And I will show it to the children, either on a slide or I'll put it up, enlarge it, whatever it is. I will show them the formal letter. Suppose let's make it in a school, middle school level. What are they going to do with business letter? So I will bring a leave of absence letter a child has to write to a teacher. I will bring a model letter of it and show it to the children. I will tell them to pay attention to where the date is written, where the heading is salutation, the close, some of the phrases which have to be used. So they will look at that. They will look at the way the letter is organized. So organization of the idea is very important in a product approach. So I will tell them to make sure they will organize it in one paragraph. The first paragraph is the introduction. Middle paragraph is the reason. Third paragraph is the close. In a leave of absence letter, I will make them look at that. I will make them write a draft focusing on the organization, and then they will give it to the teacher. The teacher will correct, give remarks, and give it back to the child. Now this is individual approach. The children do not work in pairs, they don't work in groups. The teacher with the student, and the student was the teacher. This is the way most of our work was done when we were in school. This is the approach which was used, right? In the process approach, I think you'll have all understood process approach. It was only process. Have you understood? Yes, your feedback is only after the webinar. We have not finished. Yeah. So, okay. Okay, many of you say process approach is more interactive, right? Process approach you'll prefer. Process approach. Please remember, don't do away with the product. Don't throw product approach into the waste paper basket. You do need product approach also. You have to be able to balance. Nothing is extreme. Process approach is very good as the children become, as they keep growing up. But product approach at certain times is very important, especially in the lower classes. So don't give it up. I agree with you. Process approach is much more interactive. Okay, have you done this? Now, Joshua, I want you to put up the poll questions 4 and 5 before I go on to the next activity. Can you put up the next poll question? Yeah, the poll is up. Fourth question is, which superpower would you like to have? Whole range is given. Which one would you like to have? I can't hear Joshua for some reason, but I think if I can see what the answers are.
Yes, read minds is the leading one right now. Ma'am, reading minds, 54%.
Joshua, can you tell me, can you show me what is the poll for this question 4?
Yes, ma'am. Reading minds is 54%.
Okay, wonderful. So most of you would want to read minds. Oh, dangerous. Lovely. Be invisible. Well, very few want to fly. Very nice. I like that. Some people want to talk to animals. Excellent. Can I have the 5th question, please? 5th question. The next question. Joshua, can you put up the 5th question?
On.
What's your level of understanding of today's topic? Okay. What? All of yours completely green 10%. They haven't started. Okay. Some solid background. Some basic knowledge. Okay. Okay. So now my next question, which is not a poll question, I will ask you all to put it in your chat. This is what you were when you began. Has this changed at the end of the session? Not now. Don't put it out. Now, this is what I want you all to do. Let's go back to the lesson. We had the following topics which we did today: process writing, product writing, elements of teaching productive skills, activity types and their meanings, principles of productive skills, and types of activities. What I want each of you is to think of a quiz question on any of the topics we have done today and type it in your chat, the question, and let's see what answers we get. Quiz question on any topic which we have done today. Let us see who can answer the questions. Very good. Let's go back to chat. Please go back to chat. Depends on what we are teaching. What does that mean? No, I want you all now to put in a quiz question. Please put in a quiz question on any of the topics we did today. I read to you process approach, product approach, elements of teaching productive skills, the guided free, whatever activity we did, controlled activity, any question on any of the topics. Please put it up in chat. The first person who puts the first question. Yeah, I want a question. Come on, a quiz question. Okay, the first question is, are the components mentioned under accuracy and fluency watertight compartments? Can you please answer? Who's going to answer that question which has been given by Vani? Very good. There are a lot of questions coming up. Now, 1 minute. First, let's get, are the components mentioned under, can you just put Vani's name and give me the answer, yes or no? Are the components mentioned under accuracy and fluency watertight compartments? Yes or no? Well, if you ask me, Vani, some of it is yes, some of it is no, totally watertight, but many of it will depend on it. You know, it's not like you can't seal it up. It could be in between, part accuracy and part fluency. Okay? Do you think peer correction comes under process approach or product approach? Please give an answer to Roja's question. Good question. Process approach or product approach? Peer correction is done in which approach? Say A for process and B for product. Please type out A if you think it's process approach, B if you think it's product approach. Yes, process approach. Very good. Good, very good. Next question by Anil Patil. Which approach is the best? Process, product, depends. Good question. What's the answer? A. Which approach is the best? A, B, or C? Well, I would actually put C, but there are people who may have put A. I hope nobody has put B, because definitely it's not the best. Well done. How do you begin a process writing? How do you begin process writing? What is the first stage in process writing? Good question, Gauramma. Very good question. How do you begin? What is the first thing you do? Come on, no answer. How do you begin process writing? What is the first thing you do? Right. You first give them a topic and tell them to brainstorm. Put them into groups and tell them to brainstorm. Okay? Which is the most liked methodology in teaching? Malini, you tell me which is your favorite methodology. That's a nice question, but well, it depends. Which is your favorite, Malini? Okay, this is a very personal thing, unless you've given options. Some teachers like an interactive method, communicative method, talk and chalk method. There are many, many methods, so it all depends. Next question, Maitali has said product approach focuses on the reader. True or false? Does it focus on the reader? Yes, it does. It does. Right. Any next question? How many activities were mentioned in the activity information sheet? That's a very difficult question. I also don't know. How many were mentioned, Rosario? A, B, C, D, F, 7 or 8? Who knows? What kind of teaching method we can use for child learning the most? I think any method which is child friendly. That's what I'm going to say. Any method which is child friendly. Okay. Right. Now let's go on to the last one. Right in the beginning, we went through the aims. Some of the aims were not true, but these are the correct aims. Go through the aims and tell me if there's any aim which we have not met or which you are not clear about. Identify important factors to be considered when teaching productive skills. Have we done this? Okay. I don't know because I can't see your responses here. I'm assuming yes. If there is anybody, if it's a no, then please put it in chat, right? If there's any of this not been met or not clear, please ask me. To raise awareness about the elements involved in teaching a productive skills. Recognize the focus aspects involved in teaching productive skills. To familiarize the participants with the support levels involved in teaching productive skills. Have we done this to raise awareness of the varied methods of error correction? Have we done that? No, I didn't do it. I only told you that in one you have controlled correct. I mean, the teacher corrects every word. In the guided one, she'll only correct pronunciation, structural errors together at the end of the particular activity. And in freer activity, she puts up the errors and asks students themselves to correct. Now there are other methods which you can use for error correction. I'm not sure if anyone was here when I did this last time, but one of the ways, especially for reading, it can be for both speaking or writing. For reading, writing, if you're going to do a correction, you tell the students, okay students, today you're going to write a letter to your friend describing the difficulties of the lockdown you faced last month. Okay, that's the letter. So you tell them, now when you give it to me, I'm only going to check your spelling errors and your use of tense. So when the children give you the letter, you're only focusing on the spellings and the tense usage. You're not worried about anything else. Or you can tell them, I'm only going to look at the ideas, the vocabulary used to express ideas. Then you're only correcting ideas. Now, what happens when you use this method of correction is that children focus on that aspect when they are writing. Because that's what you're going to correct. And you're saying, oh ma'am, then they're only going to be worried about vocabulary. Let them be. Let them think about all the vocabulary they have under that particular topic and let them express it. Automatically, they will write it correctly as the, as your correction to structures happen, as a correction to something else happen. So this is I found this a very, very good method instead of just taking a book and making red marks and everything. So just try it out. Okay? Any questions? If not, we've come to the end. As I can't see Joshua, I'm sure he's somewhere around there.
I'm here.
Any questions? Anything you want to share with me? Please make sure you get all the handouts from Joshua in case you haven't. Anything more you want? For those of you who don't have my email ID, I'm sharing it.
Anshta Sharma from ma'am.
You can send me
Anshta Sharma from Hitkarni Jabalpur has a question for you, ma'am.
Mail for any question you want, and I will live. No, can you? I can hear you. I can respond to your. Have you got my email ID? Yeah, here it is. You can use that to ask me any questions, any clarifications. Thank you, Srikant. Makes me feel nice. I hope it was a useful 2 hours. Anam, thank you for your lovely words. All of you, thank you so much. It's actually been a pleasure, and I must apologize on behalf of technology, and I'm very sorry about it. Thank you, and God bless you all. See you all sometime. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. I hope it was a very informative session. Please click on the SurveyMonkey link that's on the top. You will be able to take the presentation. You will be able to make your feedback, and we will be able to give you the certificates. Any of you who have attended the last webinar, you should have received the certificates. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, and stay safe. Please do reach out to us if you have any queries, and please do not fail to give the feedback. Thank you. Good night. Adios. Bye.